तो व्यूवर्स वेलकम टू द वीडियो। और इस वीडियो में हम लोग प्रिपेयर करेंगे फाइनल टर्म इंग्लिश के कोर्स को। तो यहाँ से स्टार्ट करते हैं द लास्ट लेसन। तो देखते हैं कि द लास्ट लेसन क्या है। द लास्ट लेसन जो कि हम सबसे पहले प्रिपेयर करेंगे, और इसको स्क्रीन हम बड़ी कर लेते हैं, यहाँ से इसको भी कम कर लेते हैं और जूम कर लेते हैं। द लास्ट लेसन बाय अल्फोंस डॉडेट। तो अल्फोंस डॉडेट है जिन्होंने ये लिखा है। आई स्टार्टेड फॉर स्कूल वेरी लेट दैट मॉर्निंग एंड वॉज इन ग्रेट dread of a scolding, especially because Mr. Hamill had said that he would question us on participles, and I did not know the first word about them. For a moment, I thought for running away and spending the day out of doors. It was so warm, so bright. The birds were chirping at the edge of the woods, and in the open field back of the sawmill, the Prussian soldier were drilling. The Prussian soldier were drilling. It was all much more tempting than the rule of participles, but I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. The lost battles, the draft, the order of commanding officer, and I thought to myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? Then, as I hurried by as fast as I could go, the blacksmith watcher who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin called after me. Don't go so fast, Bob. You'll get to your school in plenty of time. I thought he was making fun of me and reached Mr. Hamill's little garden all out of breath. Usually when school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in street. The opening and closing of desk lessons repeated in unison very loud, with our hand over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. But now it was all so still. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. But of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places and Mr. Hamill walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. But nothing happened to Mr. Hamill saw me and said very kindly, go to your place quickly, little friends. We were beginning without you. I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and little black silk cap, all embroidered, that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. Beside, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. But the thing that surprised me most was there to see on the back bench that were always empty the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several other besides. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer, thumbed at the edge, and held it open on his knee with his great spectacles lying across the page. While I was wondering about it all, Mr. Hamel mounted his chair and, in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." What a thunderclap these words were to me! Oh, the wretches! That he was what they had put up at the town hall. My last French lesson? Why, I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs or going sliding on the stars on the Saar. My books that had seemed such nonsense a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saints, were old friends now that I couldn't give up. And Mr. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Poor man, it was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday cloth, and now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. It was their way of thanking to Master for his 40 years of faithful services, and showing their respect for the country that he was theirs no more. While I was thinking all of this, I heard my name called. It was the turn to recite. What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the participle all? Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw Mr. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing first at me, thing, at one thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom. Fancy! For 40 years he had been there in the same place, with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him, just like that. Only the desk and the benches had been worn smooth. The walnut tree in the garden were taller, and the hop vine that he had planted himself twined about the windows. The roof, how it must have broken his heart to leave it, poor man, to hear his sister moving about in the room above, packing their trunks, for they must leave the country next day. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then the babies chanted their ba ba bee boo boo down there at the back of the room. Old Hauser had put on his spectacles and, holding his primer in both hands, spelled the letter with them. You could see that he, too, was crying, his voice trembled with the emotion, and it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. How well I remember it, that last lesson. All at once the church clock struck 12, then the Angelus. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussians returning from drill sounded under our window. Mr. Hamel stood up very pale in his chair. Chair. I never saw him look so tall. My friend, said he, I, but something choked him. He could not go on. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his might, he wrote as large as he could, Why we love France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word he made gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed. You may go. So this was the last lesson by Alphonse Daudet.